This video is all about one of my Patreon supporters called Clive. He's having a really tough time at the moment, and even through all of that, he just wanted some good ice cream, but he's also diabetic. So for you, Clive, today is Clive's luxury chocolate hazelnut gelato. Diabetics, you got to watch the sugars. So that means carbs. We have to also watch the lactose, which lactose is just a type of sugar in a roundabout kind of way. So to make this luxury, we do have to use some dairy, but I've substituted the milk for cashew milk. So we're going to use Allulose and stevia because he is North America. I will put a xylitol version in the description. It's not going to be as good because you can't use anywhere near as much xylitol as you can allulose, and that affects the solids content. But I do want to just point out one thing. Inulin has been the substitute for skim milk powder for plant-based recipes for ages. Now there is a new ingredient that we can use, but I just can't get it here, and that is citrus fiber, and it looks like this. It is excellent. I was able to get a very small amount enough to try, and when it becomes available, I'm going to start using that. So if that's something that you like to make, you like to convert my recipes into plant-based, I recommend, if you can get it, you get the citrus fiber instead of inulin. That said, let's make this gelato something super special. For Clive's luxury chocolate hazelnut gelato, you are going to need 540 grams of unsweetened cashew milk, 200 grams of cream between 30 and 36% fat, 160 grams of allulose, 50 grams of inulin, 75 grams of cocoa powder, so that's unsweetened cocoa powder. It's not drinking chocolate, that's cocoa powder. 1 gram of salt, between 4 and 5 grams of stabilizer, and then 1 gram of stevia liquid. That's what we're going to use. The stevia is to boost the sweetness because we don't get that higher sweetness level from the allulose, and the cashew milk also dulls that sweetness level down. So with that in mind, let's get everything out and weighed up. Right, let's start with our cashew milk. So this, any brand is fine. Just check the sugars. We don't want the added sugars. 540 grams. Into that, 200 grams of our cream, minus 33%. Into that, 1 gram of salt. Into that, 75 grams of cocoa powder. Make this a good one. Strong cocoa powder. So this is extra brute. You can just use cacao berry brute, just whatever cocoa powder you like. Just make sure that it's a really nice, strong flavor profile and not a milk chocolate weak profile. So 75 grams. Allulose we're going to weigh out with our inulin. 160 grams of allulose. Into our allulose, I'm going to add a stabilizer. I'm going to do a video next week on what is in here. This is my mix. I've done videos on this before, but my mix changes. So into that, we're going to add 4.5 to 5 grams of stabilizer because this is gelato, so it's much lower fat, relatively speaking, to US ice cream. And because of that, and because we're not using a huge amount of cream, we don't have the milk solids non-fat in this as well. So we need that stabilizer to help bring the texture where we want it. That can go in our pan. And then finally our inulin. This is well within the safe range. Unless you eat, a kilo of this stuff in one go, then you'll be fighting for a week. But who's going to do that? 50 grams of inulin. That is everything apart from our stevia. We are not going to cook the stevia. It can make a potentially already bitter product even more bitter. So we're going to put this in after we've cooked it. Again, my stabilizer is a heated stabilizer, so we need to make sure we bring that up to 80 to 85°C for a couple of minutes to make sure everything is cooked off. And I've just realized that I didn't record me putting any of the ingredients in the pan. So you're going to have to, I will flash up on the screen what they are. But here we go, stirry, on the heat this goes, 80 to 85°C for 2 or 3 minutes. Right, there we go, there is our base, cooked off, ready to go. Looks delicious, smells delicious. Let's get this in our container. Nice. And finally we have stevia. There are different types of stevia. Some are more bitter than others, but we are literally just putting 1 gram in there, and that is to boost the perceived sweetness of this in line with normal sugared ice creams. That can now go in the fridge overnight, please. This needs time for those flavors to develop. So let's pop that in the fridge. If you want to chill this down in an ice bath, then by all means go ahead and do that, and then you churn it right away. But I would like those flavors to develop more, so I am going to chill it overnight. Whilst that is chilling, if you don't have these final 2 ingredients, you might want to pop out and get these hazelnuts. You can get these from Bog Barn or any supermarket in the UK, but these came from Amazon, I think, because Bog Barn were out near me. These are unsweetened, raw is fine, or roasted, but I'm going to roast these a little bit more, and some chocolate. Now, obviously, chocolate, by and large, if you buy something like couverture chocolate, then the dark chocolates don't have sugar above a certain percentage. If you go to the store, even Lindt, and you look at something that's 90, 85%, 95%, it will have added sugar in it. So it's much safer to go for 100% chocolate. Now this is going to be super strong, so we're not going to eat this from the bar. We're going to shave this finally in our gelato when it's churning. So pop out and get these if you don't have them. This one's going to be a really good one. Yes, it is 7:45 in the morning. My wife has taken my kid to school and I'm making ice cream. Why not? So out the fridge, give it a good mix, make sure it's all completely combined before putting it into our pre-chilled ice cream machine. Make sure it comes up to just above the bottom of that top dasher there. That's a perfect kind of place. Let's get that spinning. Look how gorgeous that is. Anyway, I've toasted these hazelnuts for another 10 minutes at about 250 Fahrenheit, something like that. And I'm just going to remove any skins that will come off. This is our chocolate. Whilst those nuts cool down, fancy looking chocolate. Look, I'm going to chop this chocolate up because I want it nice and small. I did try grating this in, but the grater was junk. So with it nearly at the end of the churn, in goes our chocolate. There is approximately 50 grams of chocolate in this 1 kilo base. The nuts have cooled down now, chopping them up and putting them in right at the end. The smell is delicious. Now it's time to load up our containers. There's a good amount in here. We've got about 1.3 litres worth of ice cream out of this mix, which means we got 30% overrun. Perfect for gelato. Let's go. Clive's chocolate hazelnut diabetic-friendly gelato. This scooped perfectly, as you can see from this clip. It looks incredible, great texture. Just watch how much of that 100% chocolate you put in. It's super bitter stuff, so we don't want to overpower any flavors. We just want to put a little bit in just to create, you know, another level. So we've got that delicious ice cream, those roasted hazelnuts, and that chocolate. Let's dive in and see how we did on this one. Oh, that's so good. Perfect texture throughout. Diabetic ice cream doesn't have to be bad. This is amazing ice cream, regardless of whether it's diabetic friendly or not. If you bought this, if you're a chocolate ice cream fan, you bought this in a scoop shop, you would be super, super pleased. So give this one a try. Those hazelnuts, these ones are actually dry roasted, but I did roast them, as I showed you, a little bit longer, just to boost that flavor. I find them a little bit weak sometimes when you buy pre-roasted nuts. So get your nuts in the oven and boost them up a bit more. Watch the chocolate that you put into this as an add-in. Like I said before, we want to use that 100% chocolate because we don't want to add any more sugar into our recipe. We've got to keep that sugar count down. We've also got to look at our lactose inclusion in our ice creams for diabetics. That's kind of what we need to keep in check with diabetic-friendly ice creams. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got 2 other channels. I've got the Chocolatiers Kitchen, which is this one, where every week or 2 weeks, depending on how busy I am, I make bonbons, luxury desserts, real pro kind of stuff. And if you're a nerd like me, then I also have a 3D printing channel where I make lots of pop culture referenced stuff from movies, games, and TV shows. And that is this channel here. So head over, subscribe, like, do all that kind of stuff if that's your thing. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And I will see you next week when I've got a Japanese ingredient up in a cupboard that I've been wanting to use for a while. So we're gonna do a Japanese ice cream and talk about stabilizers a little bit more.